Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Buckeye Roast, 8 a.m. It's Friday. We made it through the week somehow, some way.
Barely.
Barely. It's been a long and crazy week, but hope y'all doing all right out there. Let me know what you got in your cup. Matthew gets the shout out. It's 2 days in a row. Bro, who's going to upset Matthew and be the first one in the chat? I'm trying to get out another shout out, but I love you, Matthew. Appreciate you coming in. Ron, how you doing?
Pretty good. We got a big show today. A special guest. We're talking Penn State.
Yeah, man, a special guest, most definitely. I'm excited. You got to know your enemy. You got to know what to come to expect this season. So we want to hit around the Big Ten and see what our biggest opponents are doing. Before we get into that, everybody go ahead and like that video, hit that sub. It's actually a little bit crazy. Ron snapped with his marketing campaign, so we're actually chasing 2K today. We're going to try to get it today. We are actually very close. So everyone out there, if you know somebody who's just craving that Buckeye content, they're like, man, I wake up at 8 a.m. It's just quiet. Don't know what to do. Don't know what to listen to before I hit to work. Let them know Buckeye Roast is here. We bring the energy, all that good stuff. Y'all know what we do.
We're trying to have a 2K party this weekend, man. We're almost at 2K subs. I am 7 followers away from 2,000 followers on Twitter, so it's going to be a 2K party this weekend.
Yeah, and I told Ron I spent 2K trying to move, so it's been 2K all around. But yeah, man, so we got a very special moment for this channel. We got our guest on, and we're bringing on the first minority in channel history. So let's go ahead and bring my guy up.
We got our special guest, my guy Loya, my boy from high school. He's a 2017 Penn State grad. This guy knows Penn State better than anyone I know, so I had to have him on the pod for the Penn State season preview. Loya, what's up?
What's good, everyone? My name's Jordan. I'll be here to give you a preview of the real team you guys should be worried about this year. Lifelong Penn State fan. I was there from 2013 to 2017. So I experienced all the ups and downs. I was there for the sanctions. I was there when they were lifted. And I was there for a Big Ten championship. Now this season's the time we're going to take the next step.
You were there for a loss to your rivals in the Pitt Panthers.
Oh, man.
That one hurt. That one did hurt.
So Jordan, let me lead off with this. I usually ask every guest this question. Give me the win you're most proud of as being a Penn State fan throughout the history. You can pick any game at any time, and then give me your worst loss and the one that just really stuck with you couldn't get rid of.
The loss comes out immediately. 2008 against Iowa in Kinnick, man. I thought that team was going to the national championship. We had Daryl Clark. We had Evan Royster. The defense was buzzing with Justin King and Sean Lee. That loss killed me. That was a final seconds field goal they hit. I remember ripping my heart out after that.
How long did that one stick with you?
Yeah.
The rest of my life, it still haunts me. And then the win got to be it's one of two. My senior year when we beat Ohio State on that block field goal, I was there for that, stormed the field for that shit. That shit was lit. And then the other one would be my freshman year against Michigan, that overtime game where they kept missing field goals. I've never, ever seen Beaver Stadium that packed, that loud. It was crazy. I was up in the bleachers. The bleachers were fucking shaking.
That had to have been a moment. What were the parties like after that Ohio State win? Because I know shit had to have been crazy in Happy Valley.
There were riots after that Ohio State win. Beaver Avenue was jam-packed, shoulder-to-shoulder mosh pits, dude. They were crowd surfing people on mattresses. People were lighting shit on fire. They had to bring in the SWAT team to get us out of there.
You didn't get arrested that night, did you?
I plead the fifth.
Well, let's get right into these questions. We got a whole bunch of stuff to get into here.
Hold on, Rob. Before we hop into the question, I got one to lead off for you as far as James Franklin is concerned. If you had to if you had to let me know what's the state of the program currently as it says with James Franklin at the top, how would you summarize it? What would you say the expectations are? And what would you say is it keeps James Franklin on the line, not to the point where he's like, he's got to do this, or like we might have to go in another direction?
All right, yeah. So this year, I think we're knocking on the door to take that next step and put us into that next tier of college football teams. You know, we've been through seasons with James Franklin for a minute now, and it just seems like that 10-2, 11-2 season is the fucking ceiling. It hurts to say, but year after year, like, we lose them two big games. We lose games to any top 25 team. But I really think we're knocking on the door to take that next step. This year, I think, is a big one for us. I've been saying for years I want to make this 4-team college playoff because that puts you just that much ahead of every other team that hasn't. Michigan did it, and you see what they're doing now. And I think our time is the last year to do it. I think we got to prove ourselves.
I think this is the year too, because anyone that follows me on Twitter knows I got 3 Big Ten teams in my college football playoff prediction this year. It's Georgia and the Big 3 from the Big Ten. So I think this is the year that Penn State does make it.
I'm about to say, you know something about the committee I don't know, because that'll be a cold day of hell. The Big Ten does something before the SEC does it.
I hear that. But let's jump right into this roster, man. I'm trying to learn something about this team. You guys took the Ohio kid, Drew Aller, the sidearm assassin. What are your expectations for Drew this year? We were together for the Purdue game last year, and we thought it was Aller's season when Clifford went out. I had the Pennsylvania parlay going. I bet on Pitt and Penn State. We're sitting there watching the season opener, and I'm like, Drew Aller's going to win me my money, and it's about to be Aller's season. But we had to wait a season for it. So what are expectations for Drew Aller coming into this season?
Man, his expectations are sky high. I haven't heard more hype around a quarterback since Hackenberg was there, and we all kind of know how that played out. But he got a talented roster around him this year. Like, I really think, like, if he's going to do something, it's got to be the year. I know it's a lot to ask in his first year starting, but there's going to be some turnover next year. We got a lot of returning starters this year, and I think he really needs to go in there and get the job done. I think he's shown poise in the games that he played. He doesn't come off as like a real confident, cocky guy, which makes me a little uneasy about him. But I think he got the tools to get it done.
So how much different do you think this offense can look under Aller versus Clifford?
I think that's all on Coach Yursich here. I know we got them 2 freshman running backs from last year. They're back. And you know they're going to try to pound the ball. But also at the same time, I think in order for us to take that step into that next tier of college football teams, we got to open up this offense. And I think Drew Aller's the guy to do that. And I think he's going to have to push the ball down the field to do so. I don't know if he got the weapons to do it right now, but he definitely got the arm talent. And one thing is, like, when you're recruiting guys, I feel like a big knock on Penn State is our offense and how we don't throw the ball around a lot. And I think if we make that statement this year, that could really, really help us in some of our recruiting pitches to these recruits moving forward. And I think the coaching staff realizes that too.
Maybe flip a Chance Robinson?
Hey, Jordan, Terry has a question for you. He said, do you think Drew Aller not being as mobile is going to hurt the Penn State run game?
Yes and no. I don't think we're still going to run those RPOs, and you got to respect the quarterback on that one way or the other. And it's not like Aller's immobile. He can move a little bit. Like, he's not no statue back there, and he got nice pocket presence too. So I think that's another underrated aspect of his game is he could escape the pocket and get you some yards when you're not expecting it. But overall, I mean, I don't think Clifford really did all that much in the run game. I mean, does deserve some respect, but like he wasn't somebody you were keying into when they were running the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Q, did you have something there?
I have a quick question if I could sneak it in.
Go ahead.
Just last season, I mean, obviously we've seen the Purdue game, and Clifford went out and Aller came in, and you just felt the different vibe. And obviously Aller played through the season. How frustrating was it? Because we've been there where you have a quarterback on the bench that you know is just able to take this team to the next ceiling, but you have the veteran that's been around. And it's like, I love you, but like, damn, like we're trying to win games here. Like we're trying to get to the next level, and you just know that that person is not going to play the season. The coaches won't make that move. How was last season like? Because we all figured as soon as we saw Allard, like he has to play.
Yeah, man, it was frustrating. I know coming out of that Purdue game, everyone was thinking, "Oh, Aller's gonna be the guy by the end of the season." There's no way Clifford makes it through the whole season. And also, I don't think Clifford played a healthy season in his career until last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm thinking he's gonna get a chance to shine at some point, and that chance just never really came. And then as the season went on, Clifford's getting closer and closer to breaking all them records, passing accolades and shit like that. And you just knew he wasn't getting benched at that point. Like, I will say though, Clifford balled out in that Utah game in the Rose Bowl. That's a way to send yourself out there.
The Cliff Goat. I mean, as frustrating as it had to be for you guys, I mean, he gave you guys a solid 8 years at quarterback, and you guys have to appreciate that. And you know what I mean? So, I mean, you don't push a legend out like that. But you hit on that too.
Lost the job 4 or 5 times.
That's what I'm saying. According to Mel Kiper, a first-round talent, and Will Levis. So, I mean, if you're able to beat out a guy that, puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats bananas with the peel on, I mean, you must be doing something right. But you touched on that two-headed
Stevens out of town too.
You touched on that two-headed monster in the running back room. Is this a Heisman watch type of season for Nick Singleton?
Man, I wish I could say that, but it's good value. I'll say that. And I think that's a bit of a stretch with Aller coming in. You got big expectations for him. You think they're going to take a step forward in the passing game. You got Singleton and Katron Allen to feed in the backfield. Plus, we got Trey Potts from Minnesota. He's a seasoned Big Ten veteran that knows how to play. Like, he's going to garner some carries too. So I think that the ball's going to get spread around in the backfield, and I think that's just going to limit Singleton's Heisman capabilities.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Katron Allen there. Does he have the potential to have 1,000-yard season? Like, could you guys have 2 1,000-yard backs? I have an over-under here at 1,050 yards for Katron Allen. Do you think he could hit that this season?
Man, he came damn close last year. He was what, 700, 800, 900 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think without injuries though that's really possible. Like, I mean, you've seen what they did last year, and that doesn't happen every year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't think we could. I just don't think the what they did on the field last year is going to be reproducible at a larger scale. You know what I mean? Like, you can't expect Singleton to get 1,500 and Katron Allen to get 1,000. When the hell are we going to pass the ball then? Where are you going to win? Where are you going to be blowing teams out like that?
Playing hardball. But yeah, man. I mean that duo, I argue, is probably the best duo in the Big Ten. I know a lot of people say Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. I'm a huge Nick Singleton fan. I think Katron Allen is super, super, super underrated, and I think that 1-2 punch. I mean, Singleton a little bit more shifty. Katron Allen runs so violently, so I think those two pair together perfectly. Q, is there anything you wanted to jump in there with?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, one, where do you think this duo ranks in the Big Ten? I mean, obviously, Big Ten has 3 of the best backfields in the nation. And where do you think this duo ranks in the country? Do you think they actually will come back and be the best pair in the country, So let me know about that.
No, I do think they're number one. I know you Michigan fans are gonna hate it, but I mean, Corum's a proven guy. But I mean, what you got a couple games from Donovan Edwards. You got 2 full seasons from these dudes last year, both as true freshmen, both who are gonna take steps forward. Like, I don't know what you could really say other than that. You know, I mean, Donovan Edwards, he had his spotlight against Ohio State. Like, what else did he really do though? You know what I mean?
No, I hear that. I'm all for any Michigan slander. What did I put that on the fucking timeline right now? What did Donovan Edwards actually ever do? It's okay when a Penn State fan says it. Us Ohio State fans, not so much. So you touched on it a little earlier that you were concerned about the weapons for Drew Aller. That was the exact words that I had on the outline for the show today. For wide out and tight end. Like, does Drew Aller have the necessary weapons to really unleash that rocket arm that everyone knows he has?
Yeah, so we got a little situation going on at receiver right now where we got no alpha dogs right now. No one that I think is the clear cut number one, gonna be the most productive receiver. We don't got no more Parker Washingtons, guys. Lucky you.
No more guys that
you.
sound like precedents running through our secondary.
But I don't know though. I feel like Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think he's gonna take a big step forward this year. Like, I think he's super talented, and I think the one thing that's really holding him back is the mental aspect of the game. I think he's a little too emotional, gets too high on himself, gets too low on himself, and now he's definitely looked at as a leader in that room, and I think he's going to take a big step up this year. He's a deep threat, man. The dude can burn. Then
And
we got
– Go ahead. No, I was going to say, you guys got another burner. Isn't Dante Cephas a pretty quick guy?
I'm a little skittish on Cephas right now, bro. I was big on him coming. He was our number one target in the transfer portal. I thought he was going to come in, be this playmaker on the offense, no doubt number one guy. And they said he's still adjusting to Big Ten football. I know that's tough coming from the MAC, but we'll see what he could do. Hopefully he settles into his role, and hopefully that role's bigger than I think it's going to be.
Now, so your concerns have obviously come from reports out of fall camp. What are you hearing as far as the difficulties of the adjustment, just the overall responsibilities of being a Big Ten player, the physicality? What is he struggling with early?
I mean, it's all that stuff right now. He's still picking up the playbook, so that's obviously going to take some time. He didn't early enroll or nothing like that. He just got here, so
okay.
He got to settle in there. But they said he's having trouble going against Big Ten talent every week. You know, when you're playing in the MAC, you got to get up to go against opponents like that, like maybe 2-3 times a year. He's going against that every day in practice. That's a major adjustment.
Absolutely. Q, anything on the wide receivers?
Yeah, Terry had another question for you. He said, which receiver on your team is going to get drafted just from putting Ohio State DBs on the hub? So which one has the best chance to do that this season?
That's going to be my boy Keandre Lambert-Smith. I already talked about that. He's going to take the top off y'all this year.
And, another guy I wanted to ask about was Caden Saunders. Obviously, we didn't take him for some odd reason. Our 22 receiver class looking pretty dark right now, so that's probably a mistake. What do you expect from him? Obviously, explosive guy. Didn't see a lot from him last season, but expectations for this season.
So we got an interview with our new receivers coach, Marquise Higgins, this week, and he wouldn't give us shit. Nothing. Literally not a single word. I will say though, Franklin had an interview this week where he said that we got a top 2 in Keandre and Trey Wallace, who I'm also not a big Trey Wallace fan. He's a crazy athlete, but he hasn't shown me nothing at receiver. I see videos of him jumping crazy high and shit like that, not making catches though. But that number 3 receiver is the big question mark right now. And James Franklin says somebody needs to step up. I don't know if it's going to be Saunders though. He came in undersized. They said There's a quote saying he was eating too much ice cream last year. But they did say he's put his head down and polished himself up a bit this year. I don't really know if he's really gonna crack the depth chart like that. I'm sure you'll see him, but if I had to say a top three, they're saying Keandre and Trey, and then from what I'm hearing, we got another Clifford as a starter. Liam Clifford might be that third receiver.
Oh my God.
They said he's the guy being the most consistent in practice. They said he knows what he's doing and he's gonna make plays.
That'll be a name to look out for because we talk
Another
about
Ohio boy.
we talk about your team all the time, and I don't think I've ever heard you mention that guy's name. So before we move on from receivers, I got a question for you. Do you feel like guys are scared to join your class because you guys have such good running backs and you guys are just so likely to pound the ball? Do you feel like you're missing out on recruits almost because you guys are playing a similar style, or people expect you to play a similar style of ball to Michigan? Your wide receivers don't want to come there and block.
I can say for a fact I know that other teams are using that pitch as a recruiting strategy to take receivers from us. It just doesn't really make sense to me. We signed this big class with Drew Aller, top 5, 6 class in the country. All of a sudden, the next season, no receivers want to come. We got one receiver. We got Carmelo Taylor out of Virginia, who's a project type dude too. He came out like 170 pounds, something like that. Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me. When Xavier Worthy was picking schools, you think he said, "Oh, I don't want to go to Texas. They got Bijan Robinson. They're going to run the ball." No, he said, "Josh Gaddis, fuck my mom. I'm going to Texas."
Oh, no, not the Josh Gaddis slander, but it had to be said, man. Josh Gaddis, that's a fucking legendary fumble right there. How do you not end up with Xavier Worthy at Michigan, man?
Is it a bigger fumble than us getting one receiver after signing a 5-star quarterback? Like, this dude's only going to be here for 3 years, and you can't get guys to play with him?
If I'm James Franklin, man, I'm fucking camped out outside of Julian Fleming's dorm with a fucking boombox above my head, like, come home.
I would not doubt that he did that. You ever hear what he did to him after he committed to Ohio State?
No, what happened?
He was up at Penn State for a camp like 2-3 weeks later, and they said he pulled him to the side and was talking to him like he was his dad.
What? That's the Pat Narduzzi. Don't commit to my team. I'm pulling up on you. You're gonna have to see me.
Oh no, Fleming pulled up on him, but Franklin was ready for him.
That's too funny. And is there anyone to keep an eye out for in the tight end room?
Oh, Theo Johnson's a crazy athlete. Made Bruce Feldman's list last year. Probably should have been on it this year, but he was kind of like a guy that was predicted to be a breakout last year. Didn't really happen. We had three guys that are talented in that room, though. So, like, you can only feed so many people. I think he's going to have a big impact this year. And then Tyler Warren's back again, too. He was part of them three back sets. He's the one playing quarterback and that crazy wishbone shit we do. I think he's going to take a big step forward. We got one of the best tight end rooms in the country. We've had it for years. Without Georgia last year, I would say it would be definitively Penn State. And I think we're set up for the future moving forward, too, honestly.
I mean, as a Steeler fan, I love me some Penn State tight ends, so I'm going to take your word for it. They treat us well. Q, anything before we get into the offensive line?
Yeah, our guy Travis, he had a couple questions for you. I don't know how much you watch Notre Dame football, but he said, who has better weapons, Penn State or Notre Dame?
Ooh, I don't know if I can answer that. I don't really know who's playing receiver over at Notre Dame. I did hear that they fucking converted Chris Tyree from running back to receiver, though. I don't know how you feel about that.
And Travis also said you got a wide receiver named Liam. It doesn't sound good. So
He's a Clifford. You know he's going to be successful at Penn State. Come on, bro.
Are they actually related?
They're brothers. That's
Oh, that is his
brother.
actual brother.
It's his little brother, yeah.
Oh man.
So the Cliff Goat lives on through his little brother
Legacy
at
never
Penn State.
dies.
The legacy never dies. That's crazy. You guys are really a Clifford team over there. So I want to talk about the offensive line. Olu is back. What's that mean for the line, having that someone, a rock solid guy like that back at left tackle this year?
Man, that is huge. I do not know how we even pulled that. I don't know what type of shit Franklin told him to get him to come back, because he was bona fide, like top 2-3 tight end or tackle coming off the board last year. We got him coming back, locking down the blind side for Drew. I think that might have been the pitch, is like, hey, Drew's special. We need you to protect him.
They had to get that Paterno money together to keep that NIL rolling, because we know that's where the big checks get cut from. What are your concerns about this offensive line? Are you confident in this line? Because, I mean, everyone knows Olu, but what about the other guys?
Man, I can't say I am. Normally, I'd look at an offensive line, I say, oh, they got 4 or 5 returning starters. They got upperclassmen. They got backups that have played big 10 minutes. Like, that's going to be a solid line, and I do not get that feeling this year. I'll just go from left to right. So we got Olu on the left, obviously lockdown tackle, no worries there. Going to left guard, we got Wasland and Tangwall. But, man, this man cannot stay healthy. He also has not impressed me since he's been with Penn State. He was our top-rated recruit in, like, the 2020 or 21 class. Like, came in, hasn't really proved anything to me in the time that he has played. I know people were saying he was really starting to get his feet under him before he got hurt last year, but that's a stretch, man. Like, that's a 1-2 game stretch. He needs to put together a whole season, and right now he just got banged up in fall camp. So JB Nelson stepping up, who I do have confidence in, man. They said he's physical as hell. Lackawanna transfer. That's basically one of our branch campuses right there. We get tons of dudes coming from Lackawanna Junior College. Shout out them. And I know that the linemen we've got from them in the past, i.e. Paris Palmer, Anthony Wiggin, really haven't panned out, but I think JB Nelson's going to show something this year. Then moving over to center, we got Hunter Norzad. He's an Ivy League transfer. He came in and he started when Tangwall got hurt last year. Did improve a lot to me. Moved him over to center this year, so maybe that changes something. But I think that's more so out of necessity. For like 3 years now, we've been rolling with Nick Dawkins as our only center on the roster, and then we just switch one of the guards over to center every year. So they clearly don't have much faith in Nick Dawkins there. So hopefully Hunter Norzad can come in and get the job done. Going to right guard, we got my boy Sal Wormley. I think he's the most underrated guy on the line. I think he's a fucking dog in the run game. He's a big body on the right side of guard. We got another big body behind him in Vega Ione too, who, like, people were clamoring that he's going to get snaps, and I really don't think he can. I don't think he can unseat Sal. And then over at right tackle, that's the biggest question mark on the team right now. We got Caden Wallace coming back. He's a 5th-year senior. He's fucking massive, 340 pounds. Wears 340 pounds unlike anybody I've ever seen, though, dude. He looks good at 340, but I don't know if you guys watched any of the games last year, but he was shaky. Shaky.
They pulled him in the Purdue game.
He pulled him in multiple games, man. Then he got hurt at the end of the year, and Bryce Effner came in, and, like, Bryce Effner ain't even playing this year. And then
he retired, right?
Yeah. One thing I will say, though, is we got Drew Shelton waiting in the reins, who took over for Olu last year when he got hurt and played really well as a true freshman. He's waiting in the reins at that right tackle, and it was an open competition. And it looks like Caden got the job. Last year, So last off season, like coming off the previous season, everybody was roasting our O line, saying they're shit, they're not going to do stuff. So in the preseason interviews, James Franklin was saying, "Look, I'm not going to say anything about the offensive line. I'm going to let them go out there and prove it to you." And they took a big step forward last year. And he's saying the same shit about Caden Wallace this year. Is, look, I'm not going to say anything about Caden. He's playing more consistently, and I'm going to let him prove that to you.
Yeah, so
go ahead, Q.
So my question is, trying to challenge for the Big Ten. You talk about the offensive line. There's some concern. There's some solidness there. Do you feel like this offensive line is going to hold up enough for you to actually challenge in those big games in general, just for offensive line play?
I think that against most teams, you know what two I'm worried about.
Yeah, I guess those are more like we'll find out when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan's going to take a little bit of a step back on defense this year. And I don't think our offensive line is necessarily bad, but, like, I just don't think our offensive line is where it should be, having 4 returning starters. Like, we should have a ton of confidence in these guys. And I just really don't. But we'll see. Hopefully they get that running game going again this year. Hopefully Drew Aller's pocket presence helps them out, makes them look better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hear that for sure. So I want to switch over to the defensive side of the ball. It seems to be the glamour position on defense for both teams, Penn State and Ohio State. Let's talk about this defensive line. What makes Chop Robinson special?
Man, Chop Robinson is a well-rounded player. He is strong, he's fast, he's physical. And one quote I seen this week about him is that he goes before every snap, he knows what he's going to do, he knows how he's going to execute it. And he just comes in with that plan before every snap and dominates, man. I am so happy we got him from Maryland, man. When we lost that recruiting battle to them, I was sick. I was absolutely sick. We lost Chop Robinson, and then he spent his JUCO there and came with the good guys.
So, are there any other edge rushers outside of Abdul Carter that people should know on this defensive line?
Oh, yeah. Adisa Isaac is a dog, man. We lost him a couple seasons ago for, I think it was an Achilles injury or ACL, something like that. He came back last year. It took him a little bit to get going, but he's ready. He's a dog, too, man. He's going to get after the quarterback. Coming out of high school, he got a lot of comparisons to Odafe, the athlete formerly known as Jason Owe. And I think he's maybe not as fast version as Jason or Odafe, but he's definitely a stronger, more polished type of pass rusher. Like, you ain't going to see no 0 sack seasons from him. I'll guarantee that. And then another one we got back that I got to bring up is my boy Dennis Sutton, man. He played as a true freshman last year, burned his red shirt. That dude is a physical freak. Was giving the offensive lineman all kind of problems in the spring game. I think this dude is like, he's the real deal. He's going to crack like 6+ sacks as a rotational player this year.
That's a huge vote of confidence, because we didn't have a single player on our defensive line last year crack 6 sacks. So, I mean, if you have rotational guys getting 6 sacks, that speaks to, what you really expect from this defensive line and how disruptive they could actually be. So how about on the interior? Do you guys have those big bodies this year to stop the run?
I wouldn't say we got big bodies. We got bodies, though. We got athletes at D-tackle. We got Hakeem Beamon and Zane Durant, 2 undersized guys. They're going to cause problems, man. Zane Durant burned his red shirt last year as a D-tackle. That's hard to burn a red shirt as a defensive lineman, man. Coming in and getting your strength to where it needs to be to play in the Big Ten, man. He said he came out at 250 pounds, entering this season at 280. Like, he's gonna be disruptive. He's one of the ones that made Bruce Feldman's athletes list, along with Jordan Vandenberg, who's he's a rotational guy. But I just was reading about him this week. He was talking. He's up to 309 now. He's physical as hell. He's strong as hell. And he said I've been up to 309 before in my life. He's like, but I was fat. He's like, I am strong and athletic now. I'm going to cause some problems. We had Zane Durant come out this week, say our D-line's the best D-line in the country. He said they're playing with a chip on their shoulder, and the interviewer was kind of like, I mean, what are you talking about? You guys had a good defense last year. Why you got a chip on your shoulder? And he's like, because people were saying we're undersized. People were saying we're not aggressive. We're going to impose our will this year. He said we got 60 tackles that anytime they come on and off the field, there's no drop off. And I honestly don't really know how I like that quote, because that makes me think we don't have anyone elite there. But hopefully Zane was just being a little humble, and he's going to be the one that's the elite D tackle this year.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Q.
Yeah, Travis. Excuse me. Good Lord. I got Travis at pointed to. He was like, "Is the D line still looking small? And overall, where do you feel like this D line ranks in the Big Ten or around the nation?"
I would say they're still small. I think when you look at it, Vandenberg, Keziah Izzard, those are two big guys. Those are going to be our people that eat up blocks in the middle and make those disruptive plays in the run game. I think we're a little light on DN with Chop's a strong guy. He's not necessarily a big guy. Deese is not a very big guy, and Denai's obviously a sophomore. He's going to be a beast, but he's a little on the light side right now too. But I think we got what we need to get it done. We got that support from them linebackers now, and we got Manny Diaz, who I love running the defense. So I think he knows what to do and how to get the most out of our talent. In terms of where they rank in the nation,
or the Big Ten. One of the two.
In the Big Ten?
Yeah, either or. It makes it easier.
In the Big Ten, I got to say they're number one in the Big Ten, man. They got to be number one in the Big Ten. We got big guys coming back. We got rotational players that are going to be making significant they're going to be playing significant snaps, hopefully making significant impacts on the game. But as far as the nation goes, I put us like bottom of the top 10. Like it's hard to compete with them SEC schools that got fucking 6'6", 320-pound dudes in every position, man.
We hear that. Before we get into the fucking axe murder on your defense, I want to thank everyone in here. Make sure you smash that like button. A big thank you for Jordan being here with us. If you have any comments for him or questions, make sure you drop those in the chat. And yeah, smash that like button. So you already know who we're about to talk about next. Abdul Carter. This dude was a freak of nature last year. And I mean, it looks like your strength and conditioning program fucking put this guy in a lab and recreated a superstar. So I just want to get your expectations for Abdul Carter this year.
Man, I'll just start out with saying he was one of my favorite recruits from his class. And I was a little shaky on him because of the shit that he pulled in his recruiting, man. He's sitting there talking. He got his offer. We're saying, like, oh, where do we stand with Abdul Carter? Where do we stand with Abdul Carter? And they're saying, like, oh, he's a little green in the recruiting process. We're like, what the hell does that mean? He's like, well, he's telling everyone he wants to go to Alabama, and he doesn't have a scholarship offer from there. So I didn't know what kind of head he had on his shoulders, really. But, man, he came in against Purdue last year. I know he played, I think it might have been just one play. They fumbled. He was diving for to grab the ball, and he got a fucking targeting call for going helmet to helmet while he was trying to get the ball. And I don't know what it was, but I could really just see he had that it factor. Him coming in, getting the number 11 right off the bat as a not very highly touted recruit. Like,
he was in the 300s to come in and get the Micah Parsons number.
The LeVar Arrington number, dog. Put some respect on it.
The LeVar Arrington number. So coming in and getting that early and as a top 300 recruit, that says a lot about what your staff thought of him coming in.
Man, and you've seen what he did last year too. That size and speed combination, you just don't get in many players, man. He's 6'3". This year they say he's playing at 250 pounds. And he ain't our Mike either. He's playing Will. He's playing all over the field. He's playing that Micah Parsons role. Like, he is doing his thing. And I think one of his like really strong suits is like he just lets the play come to him. He ain't out here playing Superman ball. He knows what his job is and he's gonna get it done. You never see him missing assignments. Like, and even if he does, he got that size and speed to make up for it. And man, he is so much more impressive in coverage than he gets credit for. I mean, with a big body like that, you might think it's tough for him to move. You might think he's not flexible, but man, this dude got ball skills.
Q, any questions about Abdul Carter before we move on?
I mean, none really. He's an absolute freak show. I'm just thinking about ways to get in touch with Schottenstein and tell him, offer him the bag, come over so we can play with CJ Hicks. Oh, man, he got all summer. Give him a building.
We have a college football trade machine. Let me know what you think. We got Julian Fleming and the rest of the 2022 wide receiver class for Abdul Carter. What do you think? Yes, no? You taking it?
Even throw in a special teams coach.
Yeah, you can take our special teams coach, Parker Fleming, with you as well.
Abdul Carter is off limits. We might need to talk about them 2022 receivers, though.
We got 2 left. So two of them already departed. One's at Auburn, one's at Iowa already. They're talking about this might be the best receiver in Iowa history. He's been there for 3 months.
Hey, we'll accept Fleming with open arms too. Tell him to hit Franklin's line, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to see that hairline catching balls from Drew Aller next season.
What hairline? So I want to stick with linebackers here. We've had this conversation offline a couple times. Maybe some new faces at Mike this year?
New face at Mike, baby. We got Kalen King's twin brother, Kobe King, stepping up, and it looks like he's taking that Mike job. I was not a fan of Tyler Elston. To be completely honest, I wasn't a big fan of Kobe King last year either. They said he's taken huge steps forward going into this offseason, physically and from a leadership standpoint. They said he really knows the defense, and it's just really garnering respect from his teammates as that guy in the middle that's calling the plays. I'm excited to see him come in and unseat Tyler Elston. Anytime a starter gets unseated, I feel like you got to be excited about that backup. The fact that it's Kalen King's twin brother, come on.
Exactly. He definitely has that pedigree. I mean, Kalen King, we're about to get into it now and talk corners, one of the best corners in the country. So you guys lose JPJ, send him over to my Steelers. What type of loss is that for you guys? You guys still have Kalen King, arguably one of the best corners in the country. You guys are expected to have one of the best secondaries in the country. What's that loss of JPJ look like? And who else you guys got there in the secondary to step into those shoes?
Man, JPJ is a guy that he brings an aspect to the corner position that just not many people can. I mean, he's tall and his arms are long as hell. He got them go-go gadget extendo arms, bro. He brings that physicality to the position, but honestly, I don't think this secondary is taking a big step back. And honestly, I don't think in the area that we're going to take a step back, I think Jair Brown's the more irreplaceable player, more of an irreplaceable player than Joey Porter Jr. was. We got Johnny Dixon stepping up to take Porter's spot, who I'm high on. He came transferred here from South Carolina, came in. Daquan Hardy has been a lock in our slot corner position for years now. He's done well, and he was losing snaps last year to Johnny Dixon because he's the real deal. They said he's taken a big step in the offseason too. They said he's physical as hell. I wouldn't want to throw at any of our corners this year.
So how about the safeties? What are they going to look like this year?
Man, safety, there's some interesting developments coming out of fall camp.
Let's hear it.
So everyone of the Penn State fans will know that Keaton Ellis is one of our captains. That man is not going to be a starter. Last year we had Jair Brown and Keaton Ellis starting. Keaton Ellis was rotating with Zakee Wheatley, who's a redshirt freshman, came in. He was the turnover king in camp last year. Came out hot last year. Got a couple turnovers and then kind of fizzled out towards the end of the year. Going into fall camp this year, top 2 pairings are Jalen Reed and Kevin Winston. Completely different than the 2 guys that we thought were going to be in there. There's going to be a heavy rotation. Keaton Ellis and Zakee Wheatley are still going to see a ton of snaps. But, I mean, Jalen Reed, I think he's proven in his time. I mean, he's been a rotational guy. Like, he may have even played the most snaps out of safeties last year without starting. Obviously, besides Jair Brown. But he's going to come in. I think he's going to play a good role. And then Kevin Winston's the other guy who, like, I'm really high on. I was really high on him as a recruit coming out of Maryland, man. He came in last year and he burned his red shirt, which I was kind of like, what the hell? Like, this dude barely plays defensive snaps. Like, he's just burning his red shirt to play special teams. What are we doing here? And I see why he burned his red shirt now. He's coming. He's going to be a starter as a fucking true sophomore this year. I'm excited to see him. I think that rotation is going to be good, too. It's going to keep them guys fresh. Like, all them safeties bring a different aspect of the game. Like, Zakee Wheatley is a real ball hawk out there. Jalen Reed's he's a bruiser back there. KJ Winston got a well-rounded game, and Keaton Ellis, we know what we're getting from Keaton Ellis. He's been here for 5 years now.
Absolutely. So where does this secondary rank in the country?
The country, man. I think you got to put them top 5 in the country. I really do. I think last year may have been the best secondary the Penn State's ever had, and I think this year's secondary is going to rival it. Like I said, replacing Jair Brown is going to be really tough. I don't think as tough as replacing Joey Porter too, but I think we're going to be damn good, and I think that D-line is going to help them out a lot.
Bet.
So with
anything?
Yeah, you talk about, well, you have my next question, what I really want to get to. You talk about with the D-line being one of the best in the country or the best. Ohio State fans are going to fight you on that one. And the secondary being one of the best in the country. This defense should go absolutely stupid. Do you think with Drew Aller coming in, kind of getting comfortable, this defense is something you can rely on in the big games and just to squeak out wins?
Oh yeah, and I think you saw us do that against Ohio, or not to squeak out a win, but I think our defense really carried against Ohio State last year. Like, I think you saw how important that was. And with Drew Aller being a first-year quarterback, like first-year starter at quarterback, I should say, but I think he's going to have some ups and downs. Like, I think he's going to have some cold games. I'm a little nervous about this West Virginia game to see how he comes out the first week. And I think the defense is going to have to bail him out some games just because of the nature of him being a first-year starter.
The Rodney Gallagher Bowl, Week 1 against West Virginia. You brought up Penn. Go ahead.
It's just another official visit for the boy.
So you talked about the Penn State Ohio State game a little bit last year. I want to tell a quick story before we move into the season preview and get out of here. Jordan was at my house watching the Penn State game this past year, and we ordered food for lunch. And as you guys know, we did halftime pregame spaces last year. And by the time that pregame space was about to roll around, my leg was shaking. I was so fucking nervous. I was like, I got this fucking Penn State fan in my living room. I got 200 people ready to scream in my face on spaces. Like, I can't escape this shit. I'm sitting there holding my food. I can't even fucking eat. So having a Penn State fan in your house when they make a game close is no fucking fun, because it's like, I can't run from this. They're going to scream at me in spaces. I'm going to have a fucking Penn State fan in my house fucking celebrating. And this shit is miserable. I don't know if we're watching the game together this year. Oh, we are, because we're going to be in fucking Columbus together this year for the Penn State game. Yeah, so
I'll be behind enemy lines.
Yeah, and if you're going to be at the Michigan Penn State game, we will also be in that one too. So tap in with us if you're going to be at those games. Q, any questions about the season as a whole before we get out of here?
Well, first, right before we jump out of the secondary, want to know quick thoughts, the matchup between Zone 6 and the secondary right here, which sounds like it's going to be a good one. So what do you think will happen this year with your DBs versus our wide receivers?
Oh, man. You see what Marvin Harrison's been doing to us, bro. I he terrorized Kalen King last year. I think Kalen King got a chip on his shoulder after that, though. He got to bounce back and make some plays this year. Um, I'm really confident in our corners, though. Honestly, like these guys have been here for a while. Like, I mean, not Johnny Dixon was a transfer, but like I think he really came into his role. I think he's going to play a big part in our secondary this year. Kalen King's been the guy since his freshman year. Like this is his junior year, most likely his last year on the team. Like he needs to make a statement, and who better to make it against an Ohio State? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Daquan Hardy's been a solid in that a solid piece in that nickel spot for years now. Same way with him. I think he's a fifth-year senior. Like this is his time to shine. And that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking that this is the year that we got to make the college football playoff over next year's because we're losing all three of those guys next year most likely.
Yeah, and jumping right into the season. I want to ask, what's your sleeper game? What game do you think worries you outside of the two big ones? And then we'll jump into the two big ones.
I said it earlier. This West Virginia game is I don't know. I don't know if it's just because it's the first one, and I don't know what the team looks like, but like, you come out first week, you have some stupid penalties, you make some stupid turnovers, and all of a sudden, it's like 14-14 in the fourth quarter, and it's anyone's game. You know what I mean? You have a couple drive killing penalties, and it's like, all right, this game's different now. And early season is when that type of shit happens. We got a new guy, we got Drew Aller, first time starter. That's the one that I'm most worried about. I think we kind of have a cupcake schedule though, other than the two big ones. Like our road games, I'm not really worried about. I know we got to play Maryland on the road, but like it's Maryland. They get up for that game though. We got a ton of dudes from Maryland on our team. All our players know all their players. I mean, you've seen that shit that Diggs did too when they didn't shake our hands at halftime. This is a rivalry for them. Maryland gets up for these games, and but that one comes after Ohio State, so like we're already going to prove ourselves one way or the other before that Maryland game.
Yeah, and let's jump into the Teton game first, and then we'll jump into Ohio State game. Last year, obviously, was a pretty good game until your defensive line just started to get holes in them, and people were going for 70 yards. Do you think you have a much better chance? You have the best D line in the country, possibly. Do you think you have a better chance of stopping the run this year? And what is your prediction with that Michigan game?
That Michigan game still makes me nervous, man. Their O-line was swallowing us up last year. Zach Zinter is a fucking monster, dude. That dude just eats D tackles alive. So upset when we lost that recruiting battle, especially to Michigan. And then the fact that he came in as a freshman, started gaining time as like their sixth lineman that they would bring out. Man, he's the real deal. And our D tackles, like to put it plain and simple, are undersized, and they got to find ways to get disruptive. So that Michigan game does make me really nervous, man. I do think that they'll find a way around it. I don't think that Michigan game can possibly go the same way that it did last year. But I don't know. The defensive line, it is not. They are definitely undersized, is what I'll say.
So that moves. I mean, what's the earlier game in the season? We will be in Columbus for it. What are your thoughts? How do you guys match up with the Buckeyes this year? You guys have a great secondary. You have a disruptive edges. You have a solid tackle that's going to be going up against JTT. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know that's a sensitive name in Happy Valley, so I won't really dive too much in on him. But what are your thoughts going into this game this year?
And let me preference right before you answer that, our guy Travis brought up, you essentially have 3 bye weeks before the Ohio State game. You have a bye week, you have 2 games, which you are not worried about at all on the schedule. So let me preface that before you answer.
Yeah. Franklin ain't gonna look ahead either, dude. He got those blinders up, and he takes it week to week. That's a big thing in his approach. But Can you ask the question again? What was the question?
Yeah, you have essentially three bugs before the game. You say he's going to focus in, but do you think what's your prediction on the game, especially with that kind of lead off to have coaches be prepared a little early?
So I think our D line is going to be real disruptive against Ohio State's O line. I think Ohio State's O line is a big question mark this year. I don't know how y'all feel about it.
It is.
Like,
It is.
it's definitely a question mark, and we got some talent on that D line, and we got talent that's going to be rotating, so they're going to be fresh and they're going to be causing problems. But Ohio State's offense always gets theirs. Like, they're going to put up points against us. It's going to be on our offense to be able to put up points against them. I think this is going to be like the big statement game for the O-line this year is what can they do? Are we going to be able to run the ball against Ohio State? Are they going to be able to protect Drew Aller, because they couldn't protect Sean Clifford last year? You've seen that shit JTT did, man. That shit was ridiculous.
So do you think this could potentially be a coming out party at home for Drew Aller?
At home in Columbus.
Yeah, he's coming back to his home state.
I think if we're going to make a statement this year, I think the Ohio State game's where it starts. And if we're going to be a good team, that's the first game we have to win in the season. And I think out of the two tough games out of Michigan, Ohio State, I think we have the much better chance to beat Ohio State than Michigan.
Yeah. So
It's definitely gonna be a game this year. That's the one that I have circled on the Bleacher Report stream yesterday. I said, I mean, I know the game that everybody wants to talk about is the team up north, and I mean, I think the Penn State game is the one to really keep an eye on. I feel like the Buckeyes are going to bounce back against Michigan, but this Penn State game is the one that I am most concerned about coming back into the season. So, yeah, that's definitely one. I think that's going to be a big game. It's going to be a fucking miserable day in Columbus if you guys win. I'll tell you that, because I know your ass. Yeah, exactly. I know your ass ain't going. You're going to want to go sit back at the house. So I'm going to just be out in my fucking red in Columbus, all sad, partying with a fucking Penn State fan. So the Buckeyes better get it done, so we have one sad Penn State fan and not a bunch of sad Buckeyes.
So we're driving home if that's the case.
So what are your expectations for this season? And once you set those expectations, do you think Clifford can deliver on them? And what are your feelings about Clifford? Like, what is this? What do you need? Or not Clifford.
I'm talking Liam.
Fucking say. Yeah. Clifford. Yeah. Liam. What are your expectations for Liam? I think he's a Blitnikoff finalist. I don't know why the fuck I keep saying Clifford. Franklin. God damn it. How are you going to feel about Franklin coming out of this season based on your expectations? So where is the bar at, and what do you need to see from this team for you guys to, keep a positive attitude with your guy, James Franklin?
Man, like I said, this is the year I think we need to take the step up. I think we're knocking on the door to go up into that next tier of college football teams, and I think this is the year that he needs to get it done. Like, these 10-2 seasons, they're great and all. Like, we won the Rose Bowl last year. Like, that's sick. You know how tough it is to beat Utah in the Rose Bowl. But I really want to see something. Like I said, ever since this 4-team playoff came around, I was like, I want to be one of them teams in that 4-team playoff. That really differentiates you from all the other big schools that haven't made it there. And 10-2 ain't going to cut it this year to get there. You know what I mean? I want another Big Ten championship. I want to crack that top 4. I'd say it will be a massive disappointment if James Franklin has another 2-loss season this year. And that's my guy. I do not talk bad about James Franklin. He has done so much for this program, got it in absolute shambles. Bill O'Brien came in, was turning shit around, bailed on us. Franklin came in. He had I don't even know if he had scholarship offensive linemen his first year. That's how bad we were down. He came in, turned the team around, got us to this point. I think he's building a culture. I truly believe we have the best coaching staff in the country, top to bottom, all the position coaches, strength and conditioning, the analysts, everything like that. I think he's put together a great coaching staff. I think he's building a great culture. And I think this is the year that we need to kick that door down and get into the playoff.
Yeah, so let me ask. We'll put you on the record, like our guys at the Fans Edge say. I got my money. I got my $500. The Penn State over under is at 10.5 games. Are we going over or are we going under?
You know, I'm taking the over. I'm taking that over because this is the year, man. This got to be the year. It has to be.
Well, dude, I think Ron has one more for you.
So yeah, you have your team taking it over this year. You think you guys cracked that 10-2 mark. Before we get out of here, let the people know why 2024 is such a big season for you guys and why that could be the year if this year's not the year.
Man, just look back at how I broke down position to position. Quarterback, we got the most hyped quarterback we've had since Christian Hackenberg. Running back, studs in the backfield. Receiver, question mark. Tight end, great room. O-line, 4 or 5 starters back. I'm worried about them. But normally, you hear 4 or 5 starters back, you're rocking with them. D-line, sick. Linebackers, always sick. Secondary, sick. Like, what are we missing right here? Where are we weak at? You know what I mean? And I just think that James Franklin has been building and building and building. We put together a couple solid recruiting classes now, too. And I just think this year is the year the talent's all going to come together. And I think they're going to make a statement.
No, sounds good. Yeah, that's mostly. If you have any questions, Chad.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Oh, go ahead, Ron.
No, go ahead, Q.
No,
I was just going to thank Jordan for doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys
talking at the same time. Go ahead, Ron.
No, don't let me get in the way.
Jordan, appreciate you coming on here, man. I feel way more informed than I usually am walking into the Penn State game. I usually don't know what they're bringing. I just know somehow, some way it's going to be close, and I'm gonna be over on my rocking chair, like what is going on. If y'all have any questions in the chat, real quick, shoot them in right before we get out of here. But yeah, again, want to appreciate you doing this. This was great. Had a good time and great learning about Penn State and looking forward to the season, man. We only got a week. I guess it starts this weekend, but real football starts in about 10 or probably like 9 days now.
8 days next Saturday, baby. Thank you guys for having me though. I had a ton of fun. Love to come back.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to have you on before the game and do one more preview before the game. We're definitely going to have some content we're doing a couple trips this college football season. So we'll have some vlogs from the Penn State Michigan game and from the Penn State Ohio State game. Really appreciate you joining us. This was an awesome time. Hugh, let the people know. Well, Jordan, is there anywhere you want to let people know where to find you? I know you don't do too much Penn State content on your timelines, but if people want to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm not a big social media guy. I do got a kick though. It's Sparky LeBlanc will steal your girl #7. Apparently there were 6 others taken, but yeah, hit me up on Kick.
You heard the man. Hit him up on Kick. It's not 6, it's 7. Q, let the people know where they can find you.
Well, real quick, Mello threw in the chat. Jeremiah Smith is playing tomorrow on ESPN at noon, so make sure you check that out. Our prize.
We will be watching it on playback. So if you want to watch Chaminade whoop some ass, tune in on playback. We will be on the app. So if you don't know how to find us on playback, make sure you're following me on Twitter. Make sure you're following Q on Twitter. We'll be blasting that link out there. Go ahead, Q. Let the people know where to find you.
Yeah, City Boy Quitting on Twitter. I appreciate it. I've been in a lot of activity on Twitter lately, so I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. Feel free to DM. Let's talk ball. Flying in Jocelyn on Instagram. I actually got a DM on Instagram yesterday. So, again, appreciate y'all tapping in. It's been cool. Shout out to my guy, PJ. Appreciate the DM. And, Minor League Films here on YouTube, TikTok, Talk Movies. Got a review coming tonight, so that's where you can check me out, Ron.
You can find me on Twitter at 2_TEES. That's 2 T's, same thing on Twitch. It's 2Shiesty on TikTok. Big thank you to Jordan for doing this with us today. Find us every day, Monday through Friday, here for the Buckeye Roast at 8 a.m. Tune in every Sunday with our guys, Mike and Cam, for Buckeye BS. Our national show on Wednesday is the Fan Edge at 6:30. Appreciate all you guys, and make sure you like and subscribe to the video. We are trying to have a 2K party this
2K.
weekend. We almost there. Appreciate you guys. Always appreciate the support, and we will talk to you Sunday.
Yeah.